So it would appear, ladies and gentlemen, that we have a breaking story from Ubisoft as they came out in the middle of the night or the wee hours of the morning, depending on where you are. I was asleep when this happened, but Ubisoft came out and said, "We are so sorry" to Japan in this huge letter that is one of the most half-baked apologies I have ever seen. An apology that does not even address the issues at hand and instead tries to make up a bunch of excuses for all of their wrongdoings with messing up so many aspects of Japanese culture and history when they were developing Assassin's Creed Shadows to push their big-time Yasuke message. They also say that despite all of these things that we are apparently so sorry for, we're still going to push out the game and hope you guys will just get over it. So yeah, awesome. We're going to read this letter and see just what Ubisoft thinks about their customer base. 1 out of 4 to our esteemed Japanese community, a message from the Assassin's Creed Shadows development team. First, we want to express our heartfelt thanks for all your support for the Assassin's Creed series, which now has its own history spanning almost 20 years. Yada yada yada, yada yada. For many of our team, creating an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan has long been a cherished dream. So what did they do? That's right, they destroyed that dream almost immediately. Before this game is even released, it is down the drain and people are rebelling against it. A dream is pretty much crushed by now. Since the announcement of Assassin's Creed Shadows, we have received many positive reactions. Of course you have, Ubisoft, of course. But also some criticism, okay, just a little bit, including from you, our Japanese players. That seems almost accusatory in my opinion. Seems like they're just pointing their fingers at the Japanese people. Yeah, you guys gave us all those negative comments. We share your passion for history and deeply respect your care for the historical and cultural integrity of your rich heritage. Now, the only thing that is rich is you trying to talk to the Japanese people about integrity when you guys have been putting Chinese writings on Japanese architecture, okay? You guys have been messing up big time. We would like to address a few points to clarify our intentions and creative decisions. Yes, they just want to tell everybody how they are wrong and Ubisoft is right, as usual. Overall authenticity efforts, we have put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan by sending our experts to Japan and those experts doing the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do when researching Japanese history. However, our intention has never been to present any of our Assassin's Creed games, including Assassin's Creed Shadows, as factual representations of history. Oh, funny you should say that. We have a little bit of a counter argument to that claim, Ubisoft, unfortunately for you, but let's continue anyway. Or historical characters. Instead, we aim to spark curiosity and encourage players to explore and learn more about the historical settings we get inspired by making Yasuke gay. That's what they want you to explore. They want you to explore same-sex relationships with a black samurai that never was. Assassin's Creed Shadows is first and foremost designed to be an entertaining video game that tells a compelling historical fiction. Set in feudal Japan, they keep using the word fiction, and that is just so ironic because of what we're about to look at. Our team extensively collaborated with external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft to inform our creative choices, and they all brought the same 3 documents of Yasuke, apparently, because that's all these people ever have when defending Ubisoft's decision and defending Thomas Lockley's works on Yasuke. It's always the same 3 documents. No, I promise you, this proves that he was a samurai. It's like, all right, where's the word samurai in any of these documents? And it's just crickets. Crickets 100% of the time. Anyway, there is a part 3 to this letter. You guys, it's just amazing. Despite these sustained efforts, we acknowledge that some elements in our promotional materials have caused concern with the Japanese community. For this, we sincerely apologize. You know when Ubisoft should have apologized? They should have apologized when they announced that they were going to make the main character a black samurai that never was a samurai. But it's not just the concerns surrounding gaming consultancy, no. It is also the gameplay itself, which looks absolutely terrible. It looks so far outdated that it could be a game from the early 2000s. Ghost of Tsushima is a vastly superior game to whatever we saw in that gameplay showcase. It was awful. The only good gameplay we saw was from Naoe, and she's not Yasuke. And the controversy is not surrounding her, although I'm sure that we'll get some complaints about her in the near future. Anyway, this apology somehow continues. All game footage presented so far is in development, and the game will keep evolving evolving until launch. Well, maybe deep down they know that their gameplay sucks and they have vowed to improve it by the time it releases. Based on the constructive criticism we have received, we will continue our efforts until we put this game into your hands and beyond. We also want to clarify that while we have been consulting with many people throughout the development process, they are in no way responsible for the decisions that are taken by the creative teams. In the interests of gameplay and entertainment, you know what that says to me? It says to me that Ubisoft is trying to look out for Thomas Lockley, which ironically also proves that he was indeed working with Ubisoft, although he already admitted that he was working with them by doing a podcast promoting Assassin's Creed Shadows by pushing the Yasuke narrative. That cat's already out of the bag. That dude is in hiding, and I'm sure that that case is going to pick up the deeper that the Japanese government goes with their investigation. But they're like, please stop picking on Thomas Lockley. Stop picking on our collaborators, all right? They're not at fault. It's our fault. We messed up. Just leave them alone and let them hide from everybody forever. Consequently, we respectfully request that any criticism not be directed at our collaborators, both internal and external, because Ubisoft knows that this Yasuke story is BS. It's a load of crap. A load of bull. That's all it has ever been. And they know that they cannot confirm that any of this is true, and their defenders know that they can't confirm that this is true, and it is making all of these people ridiculously angry. And I will show you exactly why after we finish this ridiculously long fourth part of this letter. Creative liberties and historical inspirations. Oh, here we go. While we strive for authenticity in everything that we do, Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction inspired by real historical events and figures. From its inception, the series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements to craft engaging and immersive experiences, yada, yada, yada. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. Oh, okay. My bad. His unique and mysterious life made him an ideal candidate to tell an Assassin's Creed story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop. And look where that landed you, Ubisoft, in the hottest water of your lives. And we're not even talking about Star Wars Outlaws. Again, that game has so many issues, and we have not even touched upon it. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion, and those are the two words that is making all of these people on the other side of the argument hiss like a bunch of cats in furious rage. It's actually quite amazing, and I gotta show you guys some of these things. The last thing that the Ubisoft and Sweet Baby Defenders want is for the facts to get out, and for Ubisoft to admit wrongdoing, to admit fault, to admit that there is actually something wrong with the development of this game, and everybody is seeing it, and they don't like that the truth is coming out. They hate it. We have woven this carefully into our narrative. Yeah, I'm sure you have. And with our other lead character, the Japanese shinobi Naoe, who is equally important in the game. Hey guys, don't forget about her, okay? She's actually Japanese, they're saying. Our dual protagonists provide players with different gameplay styles. So they're saying, come on, you don't have to play as Yasuke. We greatly value your feedback and encourage you to continue sharing your thoughts respectfully. While we understand that meeting everyone's expectations is very difficult, we sincerely hope that when Assassin's Creed Shadows launches on November 15th, players in Japan and around the world will appreciate the dedication, effort, and passion we have poured into it. And so they end their letter with, despite all of those things that we say we're at fault for, we're still gonna charge straight ahead with this video game and release it, and we hope that you guys will get over it. Here are two middle fingers. Have a nice day. See you later. And that is what Ubisoft has to say to Japan. And they word it in such a way where it sounds like an apology, but these people aren't stopping. This changes absolutely nothing. It changes nothing of what they've done. The only thing that they can improve is the gameplay, since they've already interwoven Yasuke's story into the game itself. I mean, it's pretty much too late at this point. It's about to release soon. What are they going to do? Go back to the drawing board and create a grimoire to fill in for the story like in Destiny? I'm sorry, but they don't have that much time. Anywho, as expected, they are getting ripped apart in the replies, and this is just the American post from Ubisoft. There is a Japanese post from Ubisoft that is getting equally blasted to death, and we're going to take a look at that. First, we have to point out another aspect of Ubisoft's hypocrisy. This is a post from Lavender that says, which is it? Remember what I was saying when Ubisoft claimed that they were never trying to be historically accurate with Yasuke or Assassin's Creed Shadows? Well, guess again. Remember this post? This is a familiar setting for gamers. How does this game differentiate its take on the setting? Remember, this was an interview with Ubisoft, and Benoist says we're at the end of the Sengoku era and a turning point of Japan Japan history. Assassin's Creed is well known for its depiction of the history and accurate recreation of the world, and it's what players can expect with Assassin's Creed Shadows. What does that mean? That is them saying, no, don't worry, it's going to be historically accurate when you play it. Assassin's Creed Shadows is all about historical accuracy. He goes on to say, we're showing real historical figures, such as Oda Nobunaga and a lot of events that happened during that time. So you're not only playing in feudal Japan, but learning about this fantastic time period, as well as bisexual Yasuke. Great job, Ubisoft. I'm so glad that we waited 20 years for this game, only to be disappointed yet again. And of course, they are caught in a lie yet again. They said that it's not about historical accuracy, but then again, before all of this, they said it was. It's only because they were caught pushing a Yasuke lie that was angering the Japanese people to the point where they were causing seismic waves that were spreading across the world at lightning speeds. These people were freaking out, and that's why they are changing their stance now. They realize that they have messed up, and at this point, it's beyond the point of no return. They probably have no choice but to push their game out, and when that game releases, oh boy, are the floodgates going to open, I am telling you. But I get the feeling that that is something game developers have come to expect as of late. From this post of Pirate Nation, he says the absolute state of AAA gaming, and he compiled a list, basically a huge screenshot of all of these people, all of these game developers apologizing for everything that they have done. I'm going to zoom in if I can. I don't think I can. Apologies from Jedi Survivor developers, the Forspoken developers. We all know how that went down. The Golem developers. Oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, the Golem developers, who, by the way, apparently also worked with Sweet Baby Inc., if you believe the IMDb leaked list. I am not looking into it as of yet, but that is a rumor going around. Halo Infinite, Prince of Persia, and last but not least, Assassin's Creed Shadows. Obviously, I do not have time to read all of those apologies, but it is hilarious how many game developers have come out just this and last year to issue out these so-so ham-fisted apologies to people for pushing DEI in their games, and then their games fail and their studios shut down. The state of the gaming industry is sad. That's the answer to his post. It's a sad state. It is in absolute flames. And the people that are helping to fan these flames even farther than they need to go are the mainstream media pundits and the Sweet Baby Inc. defenders, the Ubi shills and the Yasuke stands, such as Alyssa Mercanti, as per this post from Grum's Kotaku senior editor. Alyssa Mercanti just called all of Japan racist and in moral decay. What is wrong with this lady? Maybe just say your racist response to a video game is indicative of moral decay. Get bent instead of this. I just love people like this. They reveal who they are almost every single day. At this point, we know that Alyssa Mercanti feels this way. She has said these things tons of times before, but in more subtle ways. It's only now that she's starting to lose attention and relevance yet again that she is doubling down on her efforts to make everybody mad, including an entire country now. I'm sure Kotaku is so proud. But it's not just Alyssa. Her defenders are coming out and saying the exact same thing. This is from Jake Steinberg as per Delibrium. Awesome guy, give him a follow. Extremely funny that we have gotten to the point where the official Assassin's Creed account has to answer Gamergate baby-brained questions like what is fiction? These people sure do love to claim that they know so much more about Japanese history than the Japanese people themselves. These people who do absolutely zero research and jump on the bandwagon when the narrative appears to suit them in the moment. It's a lot of fun to watch these people melt. By the way, if you have not noticed, my setup is different. You were probably wondering if I was going to mention it. Yes, I have created a new setup. I worked on it all night because I wanted to give you guys something cool to look at and maybe solve the issue of my avatars being in the way of all of these articles and dialogue posts. So hope this solves it. If you guys have any issues or any questions about this setup, maybe some suggestions of improvements, let me know in the comments and I will take them into consideration. Thank you very much. Let's continue as there are more Sweet Baby Inc. defenders out there screaming to the wind while nobody else is around as tears pour down from their eyes and slobber drops from their lips. From Khalif dancing in the Moonlight Adams, one of the people that we have called out before for defending Alyssa Mercanti and other Sweet Baby Inc. defenders and activities. Sometimes when you try to thread the needle, you give power to the same people who are actively trying to destroy your work, your art, and your craft. Overall, this is a thoughtful statement that is in reference to the Assassin's Creed Shadows apology just now, but framing Yasuke's samurai status as a debatable horrible thing emboldens the grifters and diminishes the impact a story like this has. So this guy's like, hey, Ubisoft, why are you telling these people the truth? Can't you just spin the truth a little bit so that we can have a win for once? Naue has always been just as important to this story as Yasuke. This has been evident even in the marketing, unless it has been vastly different in Japanese markets, which would make this message make sense. Either way, I wished we didn't give ground to bad faith arguments, faux historians, and YouTube tinfoil hat wearers, because at the end of the day, they are not your audience. Oh, I'm sorry, Khalif. By audience, are you referring to the 2,000 or so people that played the Concord beta? Is that the audience you're referring to? Because a lot of people in the United States and a lot of people in Japan, and I'm talking like in the hundreds of thousands, are calling this video game out. And the Japanese government is investigating this video game and investigating the person who helped perpetuate this stuff online for years. Does Khalif not know that the Yasuke story has been debunked? He probably does, but just hates the fact, like I said, that these people are getting a leg up in the argument. They hate that we are winning and that the Yasuke narrative is failing. So they're lashing out at Ubisoft for telling the truth. They would rather Ubisoft lie and claim that everything's fine and nothing is happening rather than hear the truth with their own ears. Does that not speak volumes for the kind of world that we live in? It's amazing, isn't it? That these people would rather these companies lie, and they would defend these lying companies too if they did, because they are winning, and that's all that matters to them is winning. Speaking of winning, IGN never does that. They are always posting horrible takes. The development team behind Assassin's Creed Shadows has apologized for elements in the game's marketing campaign so far that have jarred with some Japanese fans, and said the game will keep evolving as it heads towards launch in November. And these guys are coping and seething so hard as well, because if you look at this post from Learning the Law, he reminds IGN of their own faults. IGN has tweeted for over 2 months promoting every psyop they could find to establish Thomas Lockley's Yasuke as the truth, despite lying, altering history, and insulting Japan's society. How can you defend these corrupt companies that charge $70 for brainwashing and their media? And he posts a picture of that claimed to be sarcastic yet very copy, and see the article from the IGN comedian, quote unquote, that says, let's not pretend we're mad the new Assassin's Creed Shadows samurai is an Asian. And boy, did that post not age well. It aged very poorly. Speaking of aging poorly, breaking. Another historian has debunked recent claims by the communist Professor Hirayama, exposing the speculation about Yasuke being a samurai under Nobunaga. Dishonest accounts like Culture Crave and Journo spread this misinformation. They attempted to save Thomas Lockley, and that is what I talked about the other day. Spreading misinformation and convincing hundreds of thousands to potentially millions of people that this narrative has now been proven to be true because a Japanese dude quoted Thomas Lockley's works as his sources for this claim, and now he's facing immense backlash to the point where he's stopped arguing with people because he can't even take it anymore. So many Japanese people are upset with him. Facing this harsh of a reality is a real bummer for manipulators of history, and that's why it's so funny to read comments like these. Some people consider Yasuke a samurai because Nobunaga granted him a sword, a house, and a stipend, but I'd like to say a few words. I'll just leave out one example of Nobunaga's regular behavior with people he liked. On August 15th, 1570, 3 years before he took Yasuke into his service, Nobunaga summoned 1,500 sumo wrestlers from Kyoto and Goshu to Azuchi and had them wrestle. Which, by the way, if you think really hard about that, that sure does provide credence to the idea that the sumo wrestler that the UK guy thought that was Yasuke may not have been Yasuke and may have just been some random other dark-skinned Japanese man or another black person that wasn't Yasuke. On this day, 14 wrestlers were presented with the sword wakizashi, hakama, and a stipend of 100 koku each, all of which were presented to their private homes. The 14 wrestlers were summoned and given swords, wakizashi, uniforms, and 100 koku land. And this person continues with their research while providing evidence in the form of screenshots. So this dude's getting pwned by another historian, okay? This historian came prepared. He brought the receipts, okay? Unlike the Japanese historian who's like, it's all true. Yasuke is samurai, okay? Shut up. Yeah, just smokes the dude with that last picture. This dude just got smoked. He keeps getting smoked by everybody. This is not the only historian that's come out and been like, hey dude, what's wrong with you? Why are you spreading lies like this? You're brainwashing people. You're turning our own Japanese people the wrong direction. What is wrong with you? Which brings us to Learning the Law's post. Japanese people are indirectly thanking Ubisoft for exposing the DEI agenda in Japan. Yes, thanks Ubisoft. We could not have done it without you. With BlackRock Media infiltrating NHK, Japan Times, and other institutions, Ubisoft has awakened to Kraken, all because they couldn't resist making a nobody, Yasuke in in parentheses, the legendary Black Samurai. Remember that Japanese historian Kiriyama works for that globalist pony company, a company owned by BlackRock and Vanguard, and that is an issue that we've seen poisoning other game developers, tabletop gurus like Games Workshop. Really big problem to see them involved in such a situation. It's no surprise that a globalist company like the Pony Company would be doing something like this, pushing a television professor or historian or whatever he is onto the masses to try and sow some discord. But this person says, thanks to your company, I was able to become aware of the historical changes being made by the forces of globalization against Japan. Thank you very much. They're excited because now they have someone to point fingers at, and it is well deserved in my opinion. Very well deserved. And this is the Japanese post from Ubisoft. They're just getting smacked by the Japanese people. I'm just going to pull up some random comment and we're going to read what it says. I can't wait. This is so sloppy. It's been a long time since I've been so disappointed with something. It's so disrespectful and unpleasant. Oh no. I am so sorry. I did not realize I was pressing such buttons while you were feeling so darkly about things. Let's just pull up another random comment and see what that one says. If I were to depict Assassin's Creed in fiction, I would rather say that historical figure was actually an alien. We borrowed their advanced technology to dive into the lives of the people of that time. I should have said it too. Well, hey, they didn't do that. Absolutely not. First, they claimed it was historically accurate, all right, and that was before they announced that Yasuke was going to be gay. They were already planning to do that. I wonder how they thought they were going to get out of that one once it was revealed to the public. But yes, they have lied. They've lied. They have not been telling people the truth. Here's another comment. I think the story about Yasuke should just be considered fiction based on Yasuke. The issue of historical retelling is no longer a Ubi issue, but a Lockley issue. However, Yasuke is no longer the problem. The plagiarism of materials from manga organizations and cultural heritage sites, the misinterpretation of Japanese history, and the misinterpretation of Japanese as Chinese, among other things, show disregard for Japan. The problem is these. Here's the pictures. The sword from One Piece, the replica that they stole, and they used that to promote Yasuke in the Assassin's Creed game. And here's more that's stolen. They did not get so much right. There was so much that they got wrong. But don't worry, guys, if you think this roller coaster is going to end in a whimper, I kid you not, there is more to behold. This is from Grums. Japan is trashing Ubisoft in the replies, 9 million views and counting. As some say in Japan, if Ubisoft really wanted to make Assassin's Creed Shadows fiction, why didn't they just use a fictional character and make him Japanese? Well, it's because Ubisoft is stupid. Quote, when I read the English version's replies while translating them, I find that many of the opinions make sense. Just change the character to a Japanese one. Just change the name and make it a fictional character, etc. No, they can't do that, all right? That goes against their DEI push. They have to manipulate and reimagine history for the masses because they're trying to brainwash people with this nonsense. Ubisoft is being run by a bunch of cuckoos. Yep, I think the story about Yasuke should just be considered fiction. Yep, that's the post that we saw just a minute ago. And here was another one. Oh, that's the sloppy one. I read that one too. How will you be held responsible for violations of copyright or portrait rights? I think as a company, we need to respond appropriately. Why not try to rebuild it from scratch, including historical research? I don't think it's at all finished to a level that would be released as a product. That is an opinion that I agree with. I saw the gameplay and I was disgusted. I'm like, where did the effort go? What have these people been doing with all of this money that they were supposed to be using developing a video game where samurai fight each other without them going into super slow-mo like in the Matrix just to catch a parry off of this guy's short sword attack? Very poor gameplay execution. And that brings us to our final post from Kangmin Lee, and this guy's from South Korea. All Ubisoft had to do was have a Japanese main character for a game that takes place in feudal Japan, but they couldn't help but shoehorn in a DEI black guy and repeatedly marketed him as a real-life samurai based on zero historical evidence. Now a whole nation is PO'd. They're mad. So what is Ubisoft going to do? They're probably going to have to release their game. They've already put so much work into it. It's basically done. They have to ship it out. What are they going to do? Say that they're not going to release it anymore? What about all those people that pre-ordered it apparently? Are we ever going to find out how many people actually pre-ordered it? They're not releasing that information right now. I imagine eventually we'll learn about it, but by that point, will it already be too late? That's my question. But if anything, I'll say this. I am very glad that I am not working at Ubisoft right now. I can imagine what it's like to be a Ubisoft employee coming into work in the morning and seeing all hell break loose because you wanted to make a video game that nobody wanted. And that is all I've got for you guys in this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you haven't had the chance to like it and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later.
Meow meow.